Thank you, Ken. This evening, we're fortunate to have local Boy Scout Troop 160 with us. Would you come up on stage, fellas? Sam is going to lead us in the pledge, followed by a prayer from Scout Joe. Anytime.
Y'all rise and pledge the flag. Gentlemen, please remove your hats. Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, to the republic which stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
May we bow our heads for a word of prayer. Lord, you have prepared a table before all peoples and poured out your life with abundance. Strengthen us by what is honorable, just, and pure, and transform us into a people of righteousness and peace. Through Jesus Christ, our Savior and Lord. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you both. At this time, we're going to explain a little bit more about our candidates. I'm sure Ken will take care of that. But we do have a couple timekeepers. Some of you who are here in spring may have recognized. We have a yellow placard that will go across the front of the stage when the speaker has 30 seconds left to complete his presentation. And that yellow placard will be presented by First Class Dawson. Scott Dawson, step forward, please. This is our great scout. He's already a first class. He's going right up through the ranks. You may step back. And we have our final moment, no more words may be spoken, are read signed by a Light Scout, Ryan. And Ryan's only 15, he has only one step to go to the Eagle. So Ryan, will you step forward? Okay, stay where you are. This troop, I may be a little prejudiced, I was involved with this troop for over 40 years. And I cannot count the number of Eagle Scouts that this troop has had. And that's all to a lot of the good leaders and community people that support them. But we just had the Court of Honor for our most recent Eagle Scout this past Saturday, Mike Berger. So let's all congratulate him. Oh, and the most important thing, they're raising funds for a trip. There's popcorn for sale. I'll be glad to help you out. I personally can attest to the fact that it's excellent. So, and after the meeting, please.
Thank you, fellas. Carol Barbecki's going to update us on education classes.
Good evening, everybody. The November Constitution classes will be on Wednesday, November 5th, 6 p.m., and Monday, November 10th at 3, and again at 6. So it's Wednesday, November 5th, 6 p.m., Monday, November 10th, 3 and 6, at Wegmans Restroom on Route 61 at 6:30. Thank you.
Thank you, Carol. Linda Bracken-Dorff is going to update us on membership and our cast and injuries.
No, I'm not allowed to tell any jokes. I got admonished last month for going 1 minute and 30 seconds over my 2-minute time, so I'm just going to talk about membership. Thank you all for coming out. And please pick up some flyers in the back, pass them out to your friends, because next month is a terrific meeting. Not that this isn't, it is too, but next month I think everybody will really, really like it. Also, we are collecting non-perishables for the veterans again this year. Some of you already have brought it in, and I thank you. In December, the gifts for the kids, wrapped, and please put on the outside if it's for a boy or a girl, and whether it's the age appropriate. We don't want a 14-year-old boy to get a little baby doll. So if you do that, we appreciate it. Thank all of you that brought food in for the snack table. We appreciate that as well. Hope to see you. Have a nice evening.
Thank you, Linda. Sam, are you going up or? Please let Sam. Go ahead, Bruce, take our sponsor up there.
Good evening, I'm Bruce Rader. I'm the sponsor guy tonight, and it's my pleasure to introduce Gil. It's my pleasure to introduce Gil Smith, our sponsor tonight. Gil is standing on your left over there at the sign, and Gil washes windows. And the name of his company is Wing Window Washing. So Gil has been our sponsor tonight, and I'd like you to give me a hand to Gil for sponsoring us tonight. So thank you, Gil. A little bit about Gil. He washes windows. He can wash them inside or outside. And if he washes them outside, you do not have to be home. So if you need some help, and you need your house cleaned up a little bit, give Gil a call. Actually, we have a flyer too, and we're going to pass out flyers. So if you want a flyer, raise your hand. Gil has some people going up and down the aisles passing these flyers out. So if you need your windows washed, grab a flyer. And there's a discount on the flyer. Gil just reminded me. Thank you, Gil. A little bit about Gil. Gil's a member of the Pennsylvania Life With organization. It's a patriotic self-defense organization with a table in the back. Also, Gil has more flyers in the back of the room if you need extra flyers for family members. Gil also does power washing. So if you need your house power washed, Gil can help you with that too. And he assured me that his products are organic and will not kill your outside vegetation. I'm sorry, environmentally friendly. Have to be politically correct. Gil has his phone number and contact information on this flyer. So we're going to have a few questions and answers. If anybody has any questions, I'm going to try to let Gil answer any questions that you may have. Anybody have any questions on Wing window washing products owned by Gil Smith?
I will be here for the entire meeting, so if you do come up with a question, don't hesitate to come up with it.
Yeah, Gil just mentioned that he'll be in the back of the room, right in the middle of the rear wall. If you do have any questions or if you want a flyer, please feel free to see Gil. Gil, do you want to say a few words?
Essentially, I want to say just one thing, and essentially it's something that my wife uses. And basically what she says is, believe it or not, there are people who have no problem cleaning from the time they get up in the morning to the time they go to bed, whether it's the house, the car, the motorcycle, whatever. But everybody hates to do windows. That's where I will come in. I will do the windows. So you've got holidays coming up. I will also do light commercial. You've got a business storefront looking to done. I do pre-estimates. I'm fully insured. So just give me a call. We'll make arrangements and take it from there. Thank you.
Thank you, Gil. Let's give him a big hand as a sponsor. Terrific.
Thank you, Gil. Appreciate your stepping up to the plate here. Really appreciate that. Thank you. Again, for next month, we're looking for sponsors. So if you know anybody that has a company or you talk to your boss, we are looking for sponsors. And so we'll wait to hear from you. And also thank you for your generosity in the last meetings, because of you, this organization is possible. So give yourself a big round. Thank you.
Sam Bonaventura.
Good evening, folks. I just want to remind you about a special meeting next month. You do not want to miss this meeting. It's about Michael Strange. Michael got shot down in a helicopter in Afghanistan in 2011 with 29 other Americans, as well as 8 Afghanistans. As I said, you do not want to miss this next meeting. In addition to the mission itself and what occurred there, you will also hear about the cover-up and NSA spying that occurred. This is legitimate. Our federal government has been taken to court, and the Strange, Michael's parents, have actually won 2 cases. They have another case coming up. You will actually hear all these details from Michael and Mary Ann Strange, who is the father and stepmother of Michael. We encourage you to bring your friends, your neighbors, relatives, sons, daughters, grandchildren. Everybody needs to hear this story. We're actually hoping that there will be a congressional investigation. So please, folks, spread the word. Get a lot of people to hear next month. You'll really appreciate it. Thank you very much. Enjoy the evening.
Randy Tillman from Mars.
My name is Randy Tillman. I'm from the Mid-Atlantic Reformation Society, Mars. I just want to thank the Berks Patriots for allowing me to take a couple of minutes just to tell you. I laid out a flyer, and we're inviting all of you to church November 2nd. It's a Sunday evening over at the Reading Motor Inn. We're going to have Pastor Weaver up from Georgia to preach an old-fashioned sermon like they did back in the late 1700s, 1600s. And it's going to be very interesting. Real quick, we have a table back there in the corner, and I just won't overextend my welcome here. I'll make it short and sweet. We put together papers from a biblical standpoint on different issues. And I would urge you to stop by. All these papers are free, and you can pick one up. Economic crisis, education, national defense, and there's a couple other taxation, that type of thing. So we have 5 different issues that we wrote papers on, and that you can pick them up and see what the Bible has to say about these different issues that are plaguing us at this time. I don't think I would be way off base by saying it appears as though it's getting worse with each passing day. The authority to control the government, the higher authority, which we believed in when the foundation of the country, is eroding badly. And I would urge you to come. We meet the 3rd Tuesday of every month over at Chef Allen in West Reading. We have a meal before, and then we have a lecture series. This one coming up next Tuesday, which is the 3rd Tuesday of this month, will be on immigration and the borders. Should the borders be closed or open? What does the Bible say about borders? I think it's going to be very interesting, so do think about that and consider coming over to Chef Allen's in West Reading. The 3rd Tuesday of every month we have our lecture. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Randy. Jamie, you were here. Run, Jamie, run. Slow motion run. She's going to give us an update.
Sorry. I'm Jamie Kyle, and for those of you that I've never met, I'm on the board for the Berks County Patriots, and I'm also involved with the Legislative Committee. And we invite anyone that is interested in learning more about the legislative process to participate in that committee with us. We meet once a month, and after that, you end up working on different things. The area that I've been involved in is pension reform. And when I started this journey, I thought that it was going to be a lot easier to understand than it is, and I thought that the questions and the answers were actually a lot more simple than they actually are. So one of the things I just wanted to talk about tonight, or just reiterate, is that it's very difficult to separate pension reform from tax reform, because it's all about money. It all ends up coming about money. And as we all know, the revenue that the state generates is not generated by anything that the state does, except what we do in terms of money that is taken or we have to give regarding taxes, and then how that is used. There is additional money, of course, that's part of the revenue stream based on how money is invested and in different funds, but primarily it all comes from us. So it really is important for all of us here to understand more about the process. So we invite any of you to participate in that. I wanted to spend a little time tonight talking about Act 1. And Act 1 is something that we typically understand more for the property tax issue, but it actually does have something to do with pension reform. Act 1 was signed by Governor Rendell in June of 2006. It's actually known as the Special Section Act 1 of 2006, the Taxpayer Relief Act. What it was designed to do was to help Pennsylvania school districts reduce property taxes by shifting the tax burden and utilizing gaming revenue. So again, if you remember back to 2006, there was all this hope and promise about what the casinos were going to do, how much revenue was going to come in because of the casinos. So then you start, making projections about how much money is going to be, shifted and changed, and needless to say, none of that really ever happened, certainly not to the degree that they expected. But part of Act 1 that you need to understand is that the legislation was also designed to give voters a say in the school district's budgeting process. And again, all of you that are interested in this and are concerned about it, you really need to get more involved with your local school districts and understand how each district is run. Act 1 is not optional. This is not something that the districts either can opt in or opt out of. They absolutely have to participate. And there are regulations involved in that. And basically what happens is the Act 1 limits the amount of increase that a school district can actually have for millage the year that they are projecting in terms of their tax increase. So it's a cap. The interesting thing when you follow the money, though, is that the cap has unintended consequences. So part of the cap is good because our millage doesn't go down, but it doesn't actually relieve the problem. The other thing is that there are exemptions, and the way that school districts are able to get around the cap is depending upon what exemption they're going for. They do not have to go in front of us and the school district in order to have the vote taken. And just to give you some numbers, there are 500 school districts across the state, 316 adopted resolutions promising not to increase tax rates above the allowable index. 164 were granted exceptions. Of the 164 school districts that were granted exceptions, 163 applied because of pension obligations. So now you're understanding why I'm talking about it, even though I'm typically talking about pension reform and what the legislation has or has not done regarding pension reform. The property taxes is absolutely applicable in terms of what's going on there. I don't want to take up a whole lot of time as Rod actually has some other updates. But again, just to give you ideas, Methacton, they've raised taxes for 34 consecutive years to cover its budget, of which 80% is taken up by salaries and benefits such as pension funds. And I've got other districts, I don't really want to go through all of them. But my point is that the problem is not simple and the answers are not simple. And there is no silver bullet that's going to happen with one shot. So everyone has to become you have to become an informed voter, you have to understand what your legislators are doing, and you have to understand more about the process, because it is not an easy question to answer. It is just not. And we have to become more involved as voters to help the legislators know what we will tolerate and know what we won't tolerate. And it can't just be, I don't want to have an increase in my taxes. That's not the silver bullet, because you have the school districts on their side with the issues that they have to deal with that are mandated. So it's just not simple. Anyway, thank you.
Well, according to my watch, we're about 6 months ahead of schedule. I'll take care of that. Anyway, first thing, an announcement. I sent an email out to all of the patriots that live in the Hamburg area. If anybody here from Hamburg, if you not get the email, it's because your email address didn't work for whatever reason. Some didn't, but anyway, there's a halfway house being planned, and I think it's right down to all they need is the permit anymore up in Hamburg, and there are some people, I believe, that are not too happy about having drug addicts and whatever else in their neighborhood as a halfway house, where maybe it ought to be somewhere else. If you're concerned and you're from Hamburg and you didn't know about it, Donna back there is our local chairperson on the legislative committee, and she has spent some time doing some research on it and has additional information that before you leave, if you share the concern that others do, I say check with her. Okay, 2 items I want to cover. One is the paycheck protection. I don't know if anybody recalls, but we had petitions go around for paycheck protection, and many folks probably signed them. And our legislative committee, our chair, Tom Capione, is the chair or the steward of the paycheck protection issue, and he and several of us went up to Harrisburg, and we delivered those petitions to the right people that we wanted to see this law change. Paycheck protection is the bill that no longer allows governing bodies, school boards, county commissioners, townships, to assign a taxpayer's financed employee to collect the union dues. Our position is they're going to have a union, they can get their own treasurer. I should not have to pay for it. There's paperwork involved and there's tracking involved, and we want it ended. Well, time passed. Only yesterday, a champion of that cause, Scott Wagner, who was, by the way, elected senator from the York area on a write-in vote, unheard of. But he introduced an amendment to an existing bill that had to do with education. However, the amendment he proposed was to, in effect, pass payroll protection bill, and it was defeated 20 to 29. But some might have thought, because of the vote, that the 29 really opposed payroll protection bill. In other words, they felt continuing having us collect their union dues was appropriate. But there's some technicality, maybe cover, but one vote that was a Republican, Rafferty, said he did not support the amendment because it didn't seem appropriate to go with the education bill that was attached to it. Now, could well be a cover story. I'm not naive. I know how the system works too. But whether it was a legitimate reason or a cover, he did not vote for it like others. Actually, the fact of the matter is, those that voted for that are senators that have anything in the way of constituency in Berks County were Argyle and Fulmer. No Democrat voted for the bill. So that's where it was on the 4 votes. The no votes, Republican Senators Mensch and Rafferty voted against it. And like I said, they may have a reason other than not simply supporting the bill. And the only other one in Berks County is Judy Schwank. She's a Democrat, and she voted against it, as did all the Democrats. So that's where that bill is now. Where do we go from here? I guess as Yogi Berra said, it ain't over till it's over. So their session in the House and the Senate ended on the 15th. So it won't come up again this session. But hopefully Tom, our steward of this legislation, will pursue this, and we'll see where the elected intended to go with it after they come back from the recess. Okay. The other more significant issue I want to talk about is, again, property tax. Something we hardly ever heard about, right? Well, anyway, if you may recall, for those who were here last month, I went through a timeline of SB 76 and where it had to go step by step in order to get it through the system, out of the Senate and into the House, and voted on before they ended their session on the 15th. And the 6th was the first magic date. It had to be out of appropriations and voted on the floor by the 6th in order to stay on schedule. Well, it's not even sense going any further. It never even got there. It's dead in this session. The fact is, I just heard today from one of our members that it's been tabled. So, I don't know where it goes from here for sure, but I know they'll go back after the elections and they'll have what's called a sign to die session, which is also known as the lame duck session. And that's when those that survive the re-election all get together and decide who's going to get the plums. Chairmen of committees, chairman of the Senate Majority Committee, they do the same thing in the House. Well, that's where it's heading now. What went wrong? What went wrong is the Senate Republican Majority Leader, Dominic Pelosi, he has the authority to determine what bills will run and what bills won't run. He was quoted as saying that SB 76 will never become a law. Okay? Pelosi is a bottleneck of 4 bills that are our concern. Pensions, of course, is another one, along with property tax. But you can talk paycheck protection, you can talk privatizing liquor stores. They're all sitting in the Senate, and they're not getting anywhere. And they're not getting anywhere because Pelosi has control of what leaves the committees and goes on the floor for a vote. So, the point is, we may be directing our concern at the wrong place. Our governor said, not only does he support some of these bills, but others, even if they just come across his desk, he would sign them. Trouble is, they're not coming across his desk. So, what do we need to do about it? Well, we're not in Chester and Delaware County, which is his constituents. If it's up to them, they ought to look at voting him out of office and replacing somebody that supports the people's business instead of the lobbyists. And if that doesn't work, the next issue is see that he doesn't become Senate Majority Leader. How can that happen? This is where you folks have come in. I would like everybody here, take the time to call even every senator, every Republican senator, and tell them you do not support them voting for Pelosi as the Senate Majority Leader. Now, there are senators already. Senator Scott Wagner, for one, champion of our causes, he wrote a scathing letter to Pelosi firing away, letting you know he is the bottleneck and needs to reconsider what his priorities are. Ron White, another Republican senator, he too wrote a letter. In fact, it was in the Reading Eagle. They paraphrased his letter. So there are senators up there that are quite disgruntled about what is going on up there and want something done. But if all you folks would call each of those senators, make a phone call and telling them you do not support Aligi as being, continuing on as the Senate majority, who's been in there since 2006. See, our problem is Aligi, but the bigger problem is the status quo Republicans who like things the way they are, or the go-along, get-alongs. And on the other hand, if somebody runs against him, then there's repercussions. If somebody runs against him and doesn't make it, rest assured, that one that ran against him and lost, he's not looking for any chairmanships of any committees after it's over. And he may not be looking for any more WAM money, the walk-around money. In fact, he may end up with a broom closet for an office. So, the club takes care of the club. I'm only suggesting we got to do something about this. That's our job. So, I'll have Jamie email everybody the list of senators, their email address, and their phone number. And even if you don't call all of them, at least call the 4 senators that touch Berks County. Mike Comer, Mensch, Rafferty, Argel, and we'll take it from there. So that's where we are. I ask you to chip in and help do your part, we'll do ours. Thank you.
Thank you, Rob. That was pretty good. I'm going to announce Jake back at the table does our books and for our accounting, and we have our quarterly reports available back there. So if anybody wants to see our finances, it's back at the table, open to our members to take a copy. First, I'm going to announce we're still up. You have it till the end of this month. If you're interested in being a board member with us, so you can do that via in writing, either at our website, email to one of the board members, or actually to the chairman of elections, which is myself, Ken Crystal, and or to our mailing address. So we still have an opening as far as, you still have time to submit your nomination for a board. And members are responsible for informing themselves about the various candidates. Most of the board members are who are up for not who are whose term is up. They are staying on the board, and then there were 2 other openings for which we have received some nominations already, but it's open to all members. Our next speaker is Vaughn Andrew. She's going to talk. She has a long list of resume, but she's going to talk about Tom Corbett.
Thank you for that. Now, before I get started, can you hear me? Okay. I see a lot of people in uniform. I just want to thank you for your... How's that? Good. Okay, so I really want to thank you for your service. I'm a former veteran also, 82nd Airborne. I see you there with your hat airborne, and a Gulf War veteran. I appreciate your service, and I didn't want that to go unsaid tonight, at least not by me. I'm here, I'm the coalitions director for Tom Corbett's re-election campaign. And I drove in from Pittsburgh, about a 5-hour drive, just to let you know how important you are to the governor. I want to preface my remarks with a few things. First and foremost, I want you to understand that nobody gave me a speech. I stayed up till, I got this assignment last night at 10 o'clock, and I stayed up, you know, I know a lot of your board, Rod, Kent, Eldon, Julie, Jamie, Jim Bob, and Ellen, you know, but, you know, so I don't even know why I told you that, I lost my train of thought, but stayed up till 5 o'clock this morning writing this speech. I wrote it specifically for you. I know what your issues are. I met with your board, some time ago. So I want to preface my comments by saying these are my opinions. No one handed me a speech, and don't be, this is 24-point font, so I'm going to do my best to go quickly, to not bore you, to talk to you very straightforwardly, and to be very honest with you. Some of you know me from my work with Sam Rohr. Do you know Sam Rohr? Raise your hand if you know Sam Rohr. You should. Okay. Sam, I worked with Sam during his governor's race, during his U.S. Senate race, and also when he was the director of, the state director for Americans for Prosperity. During that time, I was the director of strategy and public relations. And I've also worked with a number of you guys, and I haven't seen all of you, Ray, Boss, or a number of you with property tax elimination. So I've been on that side of things, and so you might be asking yourself, what's a girl like that doing on a GOP campaign working for Tom Corbett? Let me tell you. It's the last place I thought I would be. I had been watching the commercials during the primary, sort of with disinterest. And, it started to become very clear to me that Tom Wolf, this guy Tom Wolf, that I didn't care about one way or the other, was taking the lead. He was the front runner. And then I think one night I saw a commercial in which he promised to raise the minimum wage to $10.10, which would be great because they'd have so much that people who would be the recipients would have all that additional buying power, and of course it would be nothing for you business owners to be able to bump the minimum wage up by another $3. But anyways, I'm being sarcastic because I am a business owner. That would devastate me. I mean, it would, I think you know the realities. I don't want to give you an economics lesson here, but that's when it kind of occurred to me, maybe I shouldn't sit this election out. I've kind of made it my business to be involved with people and causes that I believe in, because I am a person of principle like all of you. And this one was tough. I hadn't been a fan of the governor. But one of the first things I did the next day, I started to really think, should I get involved? Should I get involved? I had a conversation with Sam Rohr. And I just had a very frank conversation. Is it really that important to make sure that Tom Corbett is reelected? Is there that big a difference between Tom Wolf and Tom Corbett? Well, Sam Rohr, he's a pretty smart guy. And, his answer was yes, there's a big difference. So, the next day I reached out to John Braybender and I said, I'm turning myself in, put me to work. So I met with John Braybender, I met with Mike Barley, the campaign manager, and they grilled me. They wanted to know, how I thought I could help them. And I thought I could help them by, talking with people that, are my friends, that share my values. But I told them very honestly, I said, I haven't been a fan of the governor. I said, I can't go out to my friends and sell him. But I said, and this is where I have to start following along, or I'm going to forget the things I want to say to you. But I said I can't go out and speak with passion about what I believe is a terrible turn of events if Tom Wolf is elected for governor. And so began my journey. And I learned a lot of things about the governor. I can confirm that he's no Sam Rohr, but then there is only one Sam Rohr. I can confirm that the governor is a good man. I can confirm that he's really trying to do the right thing. And I can confirm that trying to do the right thing in Harrisburg is like trying to land a jetliner on the tip of a mountain. But I'm not here to convince you that the governor is a good guy, because you wouldn't have convinced me of that had I not, had the opportunity to work so closely with him.
I'm at the meeting, Donna.
Oh. So, what I want to talk about is the problem.
Oh, you want to get home?
And I'll ask you to entertain me for a few minutes. And to put aside maybe any notions you have, and just kind of consider what I'm saying. And again, I said I was going to be straight with you. That's what I'm problem. And how that problem is defined depends on who you ask. If you ask, there are two prevailing narratives where this election is concerned. If you ask those on the right, they'll tell you that the issue is that the governor hasn't gotten anything done. If you ask those people on the left, they'll tell you that the issue is the governor cut education and that he's not making the gas and oil industry pay their fair share. Regardless of who you ask, the governor is the problem, right? Hey, you're stealing my thunder back there, whoever you are. Okay, but that's what's happening on the ground. Regardless of who you ask, everybody's pointing the finger at the governor. The governor should go. This is all his fault. He should get him out of there. We'll teach everybody a lesson if we get rid of the governor. Well, let's take a look at those people who are pointing the finger. Let's examine their motives, their motivations. Certainly the unions and other special interests are pointing the finger at the governor. In fact, public sector unions are blaming the governor for things that simply aren't true. We know he did not cut education. If you've looked at the budget, you know he didn't cut education. In fact, he restored it. But why would they work so hard at floating such a narrative? Well, if the people believe that Tom Corbett is a bad guy, whether it's because he cut education or because he didn't make the oil and gas industry, or because he paid their fair share, or because he didn't get anything done, whatever story they're having you buy into, the end result is you'll vote the governor out of office. And that huge obstacle to the public sector union or the special interests agenda is removed. Seems pretty obvious. And Tom Wolf would certainly fit in nicely with public sector union's agenda. There would be no more threat of paycheck protection, pension reform, or property tax elimination. There would be plenty of talk. The talk would remain, but the threat would be gone. Is that in their best interest? Of course. Is it in our best interest? It is not. I think that's fairly obvious. And what about the legislature? They're blaming the governor too, not all of them, but you've heard it, you've read the, I'm not here to name names or point fingers, but they're blaming the governor too. Why would they do that? Well, first of all, the legislature hasn't put a meaningful piece of legislation on the governor's desk in, I don't know how long it's been. It would make more sense if they had, and he had refused to sign it, for them to blame him. But be that as it may, why are they pointing the finger at the governor? After all, if they blame the governor, they risk losing him, because the people might buy into the narrative and they would vote the governor out of office. Why would they do that? What would they have to gain? Well, let's take a look at it. I want to read something to you, and if you guys want to flag me off the stage, just let me know. If not, I'll go on. And then I want to read an editorial to you from the Bucks County Courier-Times. It was written 2 days ago. It was titled "The Do Nothing Legislature." Did you see that editorial? Anybody? Okay, I'm going to read it to you. The Pennsylvania legislature employs more people than just about any other state in the country and is darn near the most expensive. But despite its size and cost, our General Assembly gets precious little done that matters. Take pension and liquor reform. Big and important issues that Governor Corbett pursued as chief objectives in his nearly complete first term. Despite proposals from the Republican governor, no progress was made on either issue. And this legislative session is scheduled to end today, and this was again 2 days ago, with lawmakers not returning to Harrisburg until January, although a rarely held lame duck session could be convened after next month, as Rod alluded to, but the editorialist says don't count on it. And don't count on anything getting done on either issue. I left it out, but he had referenced privatization, paycheck protection, that kind of thing. He said don't count on either of those, anything getting done on either issue should Corbett lose his bid for re-election. Democratic challenger Tom Wolf remains committed to the state's antiquated defined benefit pension plans that combined are some $47 billion in the red. That translates into an average property tax hike over several years of some $13,000 per homeowner. And that won't even fill the hole because it's so deep and getting deeper. In fact, that $47 billion unfunded liability is expected to become a $60 billion liability in just a few years. Yet lawmakers fail to act. So I'm going to skip ahead. I have 2 minutes. I got the buzzer. Unfortunately, the special interests that reap the benefits of these bureaucratic dinosaurs speak louder than citizens, and they do their talking with the money they stuff in the campaign funds of career legislators, despite desperate to keep their high-profile jobs, generous benefits, and lofty status. On both the pension and the liquor issues, the public employee unions are prided as benefactors as are liquor and beer interests, and lawmakers return the favor with either inaction or legislation rigged for failure that keeps real change at bay. Now, these aren't my charges. I won't read the rest of the editorial, but I think we can see some reality in what's being said in this editorial. So how does any of that change if Tom Corbett loses his bid if we get rid of Tom Corbett? The answer is it doesn't change. Is that a good thing for the legislature? Would seem so if you believe what I just read to you. Is it a good thing for us? And some say that Scott Walker got it done. Well, let me tell you what the difference is between Wisconsin's legislature and ours. Does anybody know? Study done this past summer, joint study between University of Hong Kong and the Indiana University of Pennsylvania found that Pennsylvania has the 5th, out of 50 states, the 5th most corrupt legislature in the country. I'm not here to bash legislatures. I know some of you are here tonight, and there are good guys in this legislature. There just aren't enough of them. And that's, that's what it comes down to. I'm going to skip ahead here and try not to lose my place here. It should be pretty clear what I'm getting at this point. I'm suggesting to you that the governor is not the problem, and that perhaps we're being manipulated into believing that he is. Manipulating the public, after all, would be a top priority. We're the only ones that can get rid of him. To be very blunt, I would suggest to you that we're looking to fire the wrong guy. I mean, what mandate, after all, does firing the governor send to any of the others? The union, the legislature? So look, what I'm saying to you is that we're being positioned to vote against ourselves. We're the butt of the joke, only it's not funny. It's not a victory for us, rather it's a win for those who are opposed to moving our issues forward. We're being duped, not by everyone, and again, there are some good people all around. I'm not pointing fingers. But you can't deny that the problem exists. All said, I think it's important to talk about what the governor's done. My end, I don't want to take. So, okay, let me go to my last page. So what I end with here is a couple of things I want to make you aware of. Last week, Michelle Obama campaigned, or 2 days ago, Michelle Obama campaigned in Philly. Yeah, and I don't know if you heard a couple of things she said. She said Tom Wolf would align with her husband. She said that if you want to finish what we started, hire Tom, or elect Tom Wolf. So keep those things in mind and tell other people, because I think people need to hear that. And then I got to tell you, I'll close with this. The writing is on the wall. The circumstances are not perfect. This is not pretty. The governor is not perfect. He's not blameless. But firing him is a big mistake. And failing to not go out and tell other people and to do everything that you can do to make sure that that doesn't happen is also a mistake. So I'm here to ask you humbly and honestly to go out, make sure you vote, and use these last 2 weeks to please don't be duped, and don't let other people be duped. And I'm totally off my mark here. So anyways, thank you so much for having me. And again, thank you to you guys who served, and thank you for having me.
Thank you very much. Are you available to talk to people? Are you available to talk to people? You're going to hang for a while? Okay, thanks a lot. Just to set the record straight, we contacted Tom Wolf's campaign starting 2 months ago, a half a dozen times between myself and Sam Brigador. So, and actually, I never got a reply back in. So just, for the record to show, we attempt at parity as far as opportunity to present to our members, and his campaign couldn't even send a decline or a busy message. We're going to get started with a couple candidates we have here tonight. Mark Rossi, you want to come on up here then? Essentially, Mark, you have you could talk for 3 minutes and take Q&A for another 5 or so.
Thank you. First of all, Ken, thank you for inviting me here tonight. It's always a pleasure to come out and see you guys. This is my first re-election coming up right now. I can't even believe that the 2 years has gone by so quick. And it is truly an honor for me to serve the people of the 126th District. I'm very fortunate this coming November election. I do not have an opponent. I honestly believe I worked my ass off to get that they can say, hey, this guy is doing what he said. And I know some people will see the D behind my name and they'll say, oh, you're a Democrat. And right from the very start, I made it clear that I didn't want people to look at me as a D or an R, just look at me as an individual doing what was right for the district. And I think I held to my word. Of course, I support property tax elimination. That's huge in my district. 8 out of 10 people that come see me complain about that, and rightfully so. And it's just not the seniors, it's the middle class, it's the younger kids. We're all suffering. And as a business owner, I can't understand how organizations like the NFIP, the Chamber, doesn't get behind something like that. You know, I'd rather take that money and maybe pay more health insurance for my workers, or putting it towards new products, hiring new employees. So, but I did take offense to something that was said up here recently, that the legislature hasn't really got any meaningful legislation to the governor's desk. I don't know what happened at Penn State and Jerry Sandusky, but as Secretary of the Children and Youth Committee, we passed 16 pieces of legislation to protect kids. To me, that is meaningful legislation. Our kids are the future. Maybe we wouldn't have the major problem that we had if Penn State, the way it was handled from the very beginning, could have been a whole lot different. And I don't care if you're a Republican, I don't care if you're a Democrat, if you're sitting in my seat or you're sitting in the governor's office, you have a duty to protect the citizens of the Commonwealth. And I can promise you one thing, I'll never turn my back on the kids. They will always come first, above politics. Now, besides, of course, supporting the property tax elimination, and you know we're not going to be together on everything. I think a lot of you guys that I had the opportunity to talk with here understand that, we will be on different sides of the fence on some issues. But one thing I am proud of, and some of the endorsements just went out from the Firearms of America. I was the only Democrat endorsed for the Second Amendment. So, I want you to know that, thank you. To me, it is important. To me, it is an individual right. And that's why I was elected, to protect that right. Now, let's take it in a little bit different direction so I can hear maybe some boos or something back at me. But when we talk about that individual right, and a protector of the rights, because that's what I consider myself, a protector of the rights. In that same breath, I also protect a woman's right to choose. Go ahead, if you don't like it, moan. If you do, clap, it's okay. That's okay. For me, I want you to know where I'm at.
What about the baby's right?
What about the children?
Okay. Absolutely. To me, I had never walked in that woman's shoes.
The choice was made before she did it. Just cut the comedy.
I'm not cutting comedy. I've never walked in that woman's shoes. So,
Have you known anybody that had an abortion?
yes.
All right. Do you know what they go through in life later?
Yes.
Okay, no, you really don't.
No, I really
If
do.
you did, you wouldn't believe what you believe on that.
Listen, to me, it is about an individual right. I have never walked in that woman's shoes to know what she's been through.
But why should we pay for it? Why should the taxpayer have to pay for it?
I agree with you. Taxpayers shouldn't have to pay for it.
She wants to do that, then it should be her responsibility to pay it for herself.
I agree.
You know, in 1858,
But we shouldn't be taking the right away.
in 1858, the Supreme Court said that slavery was legal and that they should be returned to their masters. Well, guess what? People like us stood up and said it's wrong. People like you said it was legal back then. Just cut it out. Liberals are just like that. You're all the same.
To me, it's about an individual right.
It's wrong.
It might be wrong in your view, but it's not wrong in my view. Okay? And, okay. What happens to the baby after it's born?
There's a lot of people want
As soon as the baby's born, then it seems like that part of the faction all of a sudden doesn't care about the baby anymore. Am I right?
What about the poor baby? What about the poor kid?
And what about that poor kid as he gets older and is struggling and then...
Dying because some mother says, I made a bad decision having sex in the first place. I'm going to kill this kid. That's okay with people.
Listen, it's not for me to decide.
It is for you. You're in the position to make
No, it is her choice, and I have never walked in her shoes to understand that.
The majority of Americans believe what I believe, that it's wrong to do this.
If that was the case, the law would be reversed. And that's not going to happen.
It is. And it's going to be, and you'll
That's
see this.
not going to happen.
In your lifetime, you'll see it, and you'll know you're wrong.
Okay. You can say that, but again, put yourself in that woman's shoes, and until you do that, you can't make that decision
You're a
for her.
lost man to believe that, bud. Right for you.
Okay. Well, let me tell you something else I stand for that you can yell at me even more for. Because we know what we stand together for. I mean, I'm pro-gun. I support the property tax elimination. I'm pro-business. I would love to see the corporate net income tax below 4. Guess what? I also support marriage equality. Because that is a civil right. Yes. Yes. Listen, you may disagree with me, and that's fine, and I'm okay with that. Because I want you to know what I stand for. So you know, if you vote for me, this is what I stand for.
What is a civil right? Define it. What about God's law? What is nature's law?
Who created the definition of marriage? God did? Did God write the Bible?
Yeah.
Did God write the Bible? Because I was born and raised a Catholic, and I don't believe God wrote the Bible. Okay? I believe it was Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, maybe disciples of God. But, again, to me, it's not about hate, it's about love. And if two gay people love each other, I don't care if you get married. Because you know what I'm about? I'm about creating jobs. I want the economy to get better. We spend so much time on these social issues, it's ridiculous.
No, I don't think it is ridiculous.
I believe it is. I have a question right here.
I just attended my sister's gay marriage last week, and it was the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. She was married to a man for 27 years, was miserable, it affected her children. I'm for everything, but it's about love.
Amen. It may be no excuse to you, but at the end of the day, we all have a right to have our own opinion. That's what makes America. Hold on, I got a question back here.
That nobody has been able to answer for me. You say you were raised Catholic.
Yes.
Okay, how can you possibly be a good Catholic and a good liberal? Please, somebody answer that question for me.
The Pope, the Pope
All right.
has discussed it.
Somewhere along the line, you're not good at something.
30 seconds.
Thank you. This is my story, and this is how I became Mark Rossi. As a 13-year-old boy, I was sexually abused and raped by a Catholic priest at Holy Guardian Angel School. Okay? The church knew about it, the diocese knew about it, and it was covered up from the very beginning. The priest that abused me, he was at 15 different parishes. And at the end, when he was finally being called at Holy Guardian Angels, they shipped him to Texas, okay, sent him to an alcohol rehab and said, oh, this guy is just an alcoholic. They put him in the Amarillo diocese where he ended up abusing 20 more kids.
And I'm not Catholic,
And
but I don't understand what you a good Catholic.
listen,
You're saying
what I realized from the way the Catholic Church has handled my abuse is that they care about the baby in the womb, but as soon as that baby comes out, they don't give a shit about it. That is a fact. I don't need to go to an institution to talk to God. Well, I attend some of the Greek churches over in Oak Museum Road, the Orthodox, because they're very accepting. But for me, what happened to me as a kid has an influence on my life and the decisions that I make. And I want you to know that. And I'm always going to be upfront with you guys, because when you guys come to Harrisburg, you're very good to me. You can stop by my office. You know I'm with you with the property tax elimination. But tonight was about getting to know me a little bit more and what else I stand for. Thank you.
Long-time state rep, Tom Calvo-Jerome. No bullseye in his back.
Let me share a couple of things, on some of the topics that I know you're really interested in. AARP, I get this today. They're opposed to the property tax, AARP.
Get rid of AARP.
Pennsylvania Budget and Policy Center, they're opposed to the property tax. I got this week. And, I mean, down on the ship with Sam, I was with him 100% from the very beginning. I think you know that, Sam knows that, on the property tax issue. And the same way with Jimmy. It's not a they or an our issue. It's a people's issue. It's a fairness issue. And we're not going to give up. We're going to keep plugging away. But what I really wanted to talk about was the pension issue. I don't know if you all know Richard Schucker. He's a financial consultant, an arch conservative Republican, here Democrat. So this past summer we spent 3-4 weeks going through 2010, 11, 12 of the pension issue, the reports from both the state and the school districts. Now here's what we uncovered. And this is not political. This is facts. We're going to come out with an op-ed piece. We're going to spread it around the whole state with all the medias. And then we're also going to give it, I'm going to make sure every member of the General Assembly gets a copy of what we're putting together. This is the untold story about what happened to the pension issue in this state. Not Democrat, not Republican, both parties have sin on their hands, both parties. And all the governors, Democrats and Republicans. There's about $26 billion in the state pension fund for state employees. In the school district employees pension fund, there's about $51 billion. So, there are two separate boards. There are 4 members of the General Assembly, Democrat, Republican, House and Senate, that sit on those boards. However, the governors, and I'm not blaming Corbett, he's been a friend of mine for 14 years. It's kind of difficult for me, to see what's happening to him.
And then, you know, politics is what it is. But in any event, that aside, the governors appoint 7, they have a majority, on the state board. On the school district board, they appoint 11, majority. They hire people to run those investments. The firms in New York, and we went back all the way to the rich years, as you recall, those of you that do investments, the market was going up. So this is what happened with the state, and this is what happened to the school districts, all of our school districts. They stopped putting money into the pension funds. Stopped. The school districts were putting in zero. I don't know what they were doing with the money because they were saving. They weren't reducing their taxes. Okay? Think about that. The state wasn't putting any money in. So what was happening? The employees, everybody wants to bash the employees, but now think about this. And by the way, we're down to 750. Both the House Republicans and Democrats unloaded over 250 employees from where we were. So our size has been shrinking. The employees have contributed up to now, they've been paying 7.5% of their gross. They don't miss a paycheck. It goes in, goes in, goes in. The state was chinching or putting nothing in, okay? So Richard said to me, Tommy, and he's a financial consultant, he said, you realize what they were doing with that money? I said, no, you know, come on, Richard. I went to business school before I went to college. I could read a set of books, but you studied these issues over the last several weeks. They were charging us management fees, $1.35 billion for our funds over a 5-year period, and returning 3.6% interest. So think about that. They were investing, well, let me go to the school district pension fund. Same thing. $500 million a year, and they're still charging us $500 million a year for paltry returns. Prior to Ridge, we used to have 3 investors, and we were making 6, 7, 8% interest on our monies. Now we're making 3.6% on the state money and 3.9% on the school district money. Now, how does that equate when you start looking at this? Wait a minute, something's wrong. 46% of the monies that they are taking in from pension funds are going to risk investments. Risk investments. Gold, hedge funds, real estate, and almost every one of them tanked, went down. They're still putting that kind of money in risk investments. He said to me, Tony, if they would have been frugal about their investments, they should have doubled that money in the state pension fund. We should have $52 billion now. There'd be no problem. The school districts would have about $112 billion. There'd be no problem. The money managers in New York, now let me also mention this. The guy that was handling our pensions fund in the state, he was working 3 days a week, making $240,000, and he was doing day trading on our time. You know what day trading is? He was picking and choosing stocks and making money for himself and not us. He left at the end of December. There should be an investigation. The chairman of our board left at the end of December. So, you know, all the garbage that is being spewed about big pensions and everybody getting this and getting that, let's look at the truth. Richard and I are going to come out with an op-ed piece. We're going to get it around to as many people that want to read it. I'm going to ask the Auditor General, I already approached him. He picked up on this and he jumped into it. The argument that was in the newspaper, we had a little itty-bitty column just a few weeks back. And I thought, that's not fair. We spent 2 to 3 hours with that reporter. He didn't print half of the stuff that we talked to him about. I'm going like this, no. They called the pension fund people in Harrisburg, oh, we made 10% over the last 5 years. And I thought to myself, now think about that. If anybody in their right mind looked at, well then, you were only making 2% a year. What kind of rate of return is that on $26 billion and $51 billion? Those money market managers and others in New York City are robbing us. Robbing us. Terrible what's been going on. And he said, Tommy, I'm going to track the money. And what do you mean? I'm going to find out who's contributing to whom. And he did it. And guess what? Governors of all parties, majority and minority leaders of both parties getting money from these money managers. And I'm thinking, look at what's going on. What in God's name is allowing this to happen and nobody's stepping up and saying, this is wrong. What they're doing to us, it's not a problem with the school districts or the state. It's the people that are handling our money at that level and going to New York and they're robbing us in New York. He said, I deal with a percentage. Why isn't the state school district doing the same thing? If you make this money as an investment firm, like the Merrill Lynch's and others, they get a percentage, not a management fees. If you don't make us any money, you don't get the percentage. That's the inducement for them to do well with your money. It hasn't been happening. So that's my story. I don't know where I am with my time, but certainly answer any questions that you might have, because we spent quite a few weeks digging into this, and remember what I'm telling you, this is a conservative Republican financial consultant. It's his business. And me, a Democrat, who is open to any suggestions. You know, I'm pro-gun, and I support, you know, what you all stand for, and as chairman of the judiciary, we haven't taken anybody's rights away. Believe me, trust me, that just ain't gonna happen. But go ahead, I'll answer any question you all have.
I'll bring the mic back.
Yes, sir.
When will the public be made aware of what's going on?
Well, this is where we're trying to get the story out. What I gave you a thumbnail sketch, because I know time is limited, and I don't want to intrude on anybody else that's going to follow me. But what I want to do, and I said to Richard, we're going to do a nice op-ed piece. And we're going to get it to every major media market throughout the state. Those that want to print it, print it. If they don't want to print it, I'm going to put it in a paper form and make sure every member of the General Assembly, House and Senate, Democrats and Republicans, all 203 are going to get a copy of this. And I'm going to see if they want to do anything about it. My suggestion is turn it over to the Attorney General, turn it over to the Auditor General, investigate, find out what they've been doing with our money and these poor investment practices and these humongous management fees that we're being gouged. That's what I hope to be able to do.
Another question here?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Governor, you said that they're not taking away our rights. I just wanted to let you know I have a baby, my son, who was born 4 months ago.
Yes, sir.
He was born in St. Joe's. I'm a U.S. veteran, United States Navy.
Yes, sir.
When he was born, now, my girl and I are not married, and I don't see any need to be, neither does she. At the same token, we both filled out the paperwork for the birth certificate for our son. The hospital denied me my parental rights. I am not listed on that birth certificate. In order for me to be listed on the birth certificate, I have to fill out paperwork for domestic relations. Now, when I refused to sign the paperwork, they said to my girl, sign the paperwork and just tell them you don't know who the father is. Now, they're not robbing us, but at the same token, all that money I paid into Social Security, if I die, and this child, I'm not listed as the child's father, what does he get when I'm gone? Nothing. We're being robbed, sir.
I'll tell you what, please contact me tomorrow at my office in Reading, and if there's anything I can do to help you, you have my word, I will try to help you. I'm not going to make promises I can't keep, but let me know, and if there's something I can do to help with that, I will.
Hi, sir.
Right.
One more question?
Well, let me just mention about the veterans, by the way. Mark and I, not that we agree on everything, but Mark and I did start up a fund to help the Veterans Memorial in the city, and we're encompassing now the county to restore memorials. We raised over 20-some thousand with the help of the veterans groups, I might add. A lot of the veterans groups did contribute to that. We put up $500 to get it started, and we raised over 20,000. We did the anchor, I think you may have saw that, the Spanish American War anchor on 11th Street. 1111 is going to be done, and that's going to be rededicated for World War I, November the 11th, and that cost, between the two of them, it cost about $18,000 to do those. And I also helped with the Reaver Memorial over there in Shelton at their war memorial. So we want to take care of those memorials that are gone. So just like
Yes, Representative. My name is Joe Phillips. I'm from Mooresville. My question is, this $70-some billion that you mentioned that's being mismanaged by these fund managers in New York City.
Yes, sir.
Whose responsibility would it ultimately be to take that money and get it into a new management fund? Would it be the legislature or these pension boards?
Remember what I had told you about the boards that are made up? You have 4 from the legislature, 2 Ds, 2 Rs, House and Senate. But the majority, to be fair, you know, I'm not throwing stones at any of the governors. Like I said, Ford has been a good friend of mine. I'm not going to bash him. I'm not in that kind of a business to do that to my friends. But the thing is, the governors appoint 7 of the 11 in the state board, and in the school district board, they appoint 11 of the 15. So who has controlling interest? Those boards then hire employees, do the management work of the funds, but then they also have to approve the investments that are made in New York with the investor groups that they deal with, like the Merrill Lynch's and, you know, everyone else. And I looked at that list that Richard prepared, and I just kept shaking my head. I couldn't believe they were approving more and more management fees for losses that they were incurring. I thought to myself, nobody in their right mind would want to invest and do things like that if they were losing money. It just didn't make sense. And why would you continue to go back to the same firms unless, you know, he said, follow the cash, Tommy, follow the campaign contributions and who they were going to. And I'm embarrassed to say that he was right. He was right. Now, those changes have to occur. We have to have some type of oversight. That's why I'm suggesting the Auditor General and the Attorney General need to take a hard look at what the heck's been going on there. We would not be having these pension problems if they would have been doing the right thing. Frugal, conservative, but good returns. I mean, that's what all of you are probably involved with, either personally in your own personal lives or your business lives. You wouldn't be doing that. You wouldn't be taking those 46% risk investments, and he's documented this. And this is what just blew my mind. I just couldn't believe it. And, you know, they're saying, well, why aren't you legislators taking a closer look at it? Well, you know, I'm chairing the judiciary. We had over 25% of all the bills that were put into this session in these 2 years came to our committee. It takes a lot of work to study each one of those pieces and what you're voting out. We got out over 537 pieces of legislation, Democrats and Republicans. We don't play politics with this committee. My Republican chairman, Ron Marcico, and I are winning together. The politics, when we sit down, it's outside. We do not do political work when it comes to the judiciary legislation that we deal with. And I really enjoy working with Ron. We get a lot done. With that, any other questions? Yes, sir.
Yeah, when are you done, Tom?
I'm done. I'm done, brother. Hallelujah. God bless you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Before Mark Dillon takes the mic, Jerry Knowles is back there. He's running on a boat launch, and Jerry Knowles is up here. If you're in his district, he's Northern Berks, Hamburg, and Schuylkill. Jerry, I know you don't want to speak too much, but take the mic or no?
Hi, everybody. How you doing? All right. I apologize for being late. Both Mark and I were at another event, and I wanted to drop by. I'm unopposed. I have both nominations, both the Republican as well as the Democrat nomination. And I just wanted to stop by and say hi and thank you. I've been at your past events, and we've gone around and around on a couple issues, but I think for the most part we agree. I will tell you that I would urge you all to get out and vote. It's very important that we get out and vote. You know, The thing that concerns me the most about this election is going to be that we're going to have a very lackluster. I'll turn the mic over to Mark, and then I'll be glad to answer any questions you may have. Oh, yeah, I want you to get the tough questions. We have two candidates, and we want to make sure that they get their tough.
Thank you very much, Jerry Knowles. Let's hear it for Jerry. I got a couple things I'm going to spread out here. I have a personal firearms inventory. If you're interested, it's in the back on the table. And biblical quotations in the Pennsylvania State Capitol. We hear a lot about separation of church and state. Go ahead and visit the Pennsylvania Capitol. What you're going to find there are dozens and dozens of scriptural quotes. You go into the Supreme Court chamber, guess what you're going to see? You're going to see the 10 Commandments right behind where the justices sit, because that's what our laws are based on, absolute truth. So that booklet is back there for you. Moving right into the politically incorrect. The right of the people to bear arms in defense of themselves and the state shall not be questioned. Therefore, you have two options. You have the target, or you can shoot at my name, which is right below there, or you can hit the bottom and actually claim that's what you were shooting at. So there's a lot of advantages to have this particular target, and they are available at the back of the room. We had a shootout in Harrisburg, by the way. Some of you read about in the newspaper. There were two state representatives that were out in the evening. Some young thugs came up. I actually talked to Marty Flynn. Mark, I don't know if you had the same interaction with him. And they pointed the gun at the two legislators. And I know that's not especially frightening in some cases, politically, depending upon who they were pointing at, but they're not bad guys. And one legislator, it was interesting because I'm a former correctional officer myself, and I did box when I was younger, and I wrestled, and I had some specific training. But the governor takes some hits, but guess what? Guy signed the Castle Doctrine, okay? And you can tell a young thug that you used to be a boxer, a wrestler, a correctional officer, but there was only one thing that really impressed those young toughs. It's when the gun came out of the holster, okay? Now, you're saying to yourself, this all happened within a few feet. There was a flurry of shots fired. My daughter said to me, she read the story. She's 14 years old. We shoot together. She said, Dad, I think it would have turned out differently if you were there. I said, in what respect? She said, I think someone actually would have got hit with some of those shots. And I don't want to see anybody get hurt, but God bless you. We've got a fundamental responsibility to protect our personal property, and that extends to the issue of property tax. We've got a responsibility, indeed an obligation, to protect our own family. I was here 2 years ago. I've been here a number of times in the interim. I was running for re-election 2 years ago, and opposed. I'm back running unopposed with the same essential theme. All right? Guns, God, and girls. Most of you know me. I have 5 daughters, so don't be frightened. I have a permit to carry. If you mess with my daughters, you're going to realize that I have a permit to carry, and then you get to see God. All in one big package. I don't know what others have said before me. I picked up the newspaper, so I'm going to go generic. How many of you saw the B10, my vision is failing me, it could be A10. Michelle Obama campaigns for Wolf in Philadelphia. Okay, well, I'm just going to read one paragraph. I got a short illustration, and then I'm going to let somebody else be up here. Michelle Obama told a crowd Wednesday, and this was in Philadelphia, in the Democratic Party stronghold of Philadelphia. By the way, I have news for you. My mother lives in Philadelphia, and she's a Democrat. Come on, folks. Come on, folks. All right? She says, I vote for the best of the worst. All right? There's no Republicans running. I assure you, all right? I want you to repent of those oohs and ohs and ahs, because my mother hasn't voted for a Democratic president for years, and I guarantee you she's voting for Governor Corbett. Listen as I read on. The Democratic stronghold of Philadelphia, to come out in big numbers, she encouraged them for gubernatorial hopeful Tom Wolf, saying, and I leave you with this thought, saying the president's agenda would be helped by a Wolf victory. That's what she said.
Yes, that's true. It would be.
And finally, let's work a little more booze up, please, okay? Not booze, booze. She says, finally, if we truly want to finish what we started, and I am quoting, if we truly want to finish what we started, then we need to elect Tom Wolf as governor of Pennsylvania. All right, a little more volume. Okay, that's critical, that's important. Yesterday in the Rotunda, there was a gentleman there who was a POW, MIA. God bless you, veterans. I see your hats. I see a Korea over there. We've had World War II in the past. His name is Frank Lashinsky. And I spent some time in the Rotunda, about a half hour, 45 minutes with him. And then I took him back to the Veterans Affairs Emergency Preparedness Committee office. I'm the secretary of the committee. And I tape interviewed Frank. And I'm not going to ever forget his story. Frank was shot down twice. B-24 Liberator. He was shot down. He explained how he was recovered from the Tito partisans in Yugoslavia. And you know what he did? He got back in another B-24. And you know what we need to do? We need to have the spirit of Frank Lashinsky, whether it's property tax issues, yeah, okay, whether it's property tax, whether it's Second Amendment rights, or whatever it happens to be. We need to be relentless on these issues. Frank Lashinsky experienced a setback, and we've experienced our share of setbacks. But ladies and gentlemen, we are going to end up liberated at some point from this property tax burden. And let's be a Frank Lashinsky, and let's get back in that B-24 Liberator, and let's let her ride up to 10, 15,000 feet. And guess what? Frank Lashinsky was shot down a second time. And this time the Germans caught him. And he ended up in one of the stalags. But guess what? He was rescued, and he saw the end of the war, and he saw the prosecution of something that was important to him, and he saw the ultimate victory. Friends, we don't need the victory today, and we don't need the victory tomorrow. We need a relentless spirit that we are not going to give up, we are not going to get in, we are not going to be succumbing to doom and gloom. This room ought to have every seat occupied. Yes, there's been some failures, and yes, legislators are responsible for those failures. Indeed, Harrisburg and Washington are responsible for those failures. And I include myself in that class. But I tell you what, I learned something yesterday. I'm not going to forget it. We're going to be relentless. We are going to fight on, because this is about the American dream. This is about your children and your grandchildren and my children, and my wife and I are on a dating outing tonight and couldn't be happier to be with the Patriots this evening. This is about our future. This is about the United States of America. And ladies and gentlemen, our history is etched in absolute truth. And there are rights and there are wrongs. And throwing somebody out of their property through no fault of their own is a wrong. It's going to be confronted. We are going to be relentless, and we are ultimately going to win this battle. Woo! I close with three brief thoughts. I'm on the Education Committee. Tom and Core.
Yeah, big boom.
How many of you think that Washington knows better than you do about education? How many of you think that Washington knows better about prosecuting foreign policy? That Washington knows better about how to manage Ebola? I was in Mexico during the swine flu, and when I got off an airplane in Mexico, and when we think of Mexico, it doesn't always evoke warm, fuzzy. Okay, drug cartels, mass graves. But I end here. When I got off that airplane in Mexico during the swine flu problem that they were having down there were some folks dressed up in nice plastic suits. They had plastic gloves on. They evaluated me, they evaluated my family getting off of a plane. They took our temperature and they had flashlights. Ladies and gentlemen, there are a few basic things I expect from the federal government. I'm not looking for a whole lot, but I look for a government that is competent, that is acting on good science, that is not operating on the basis that the public is not well informed, that they're operating on the basis that the public is ill-concerned. The experts are in Washington, and the experts in Harrisburg, and the experts know what is best. And the experts know what is best for you medically, and the experts know what is the best for you educationally, and the experts know what is best for you when it comes to your gun rights, and the experts know what is best for you on tax issues. Ladies and gentlemen, the experts are in this room. They are not in Washington. They are not in Harrisburg. You keep fighting for what you know to be right. You keep leaning on absolute truth. And you keep aiming for this mark here. Because someday, we're going to be pressed to the point where we're going to have to take it back. And that sounds radical for someone who's holding a public office. But ladies and gentlemen, in 1776, they decided that they were going to have to take it back. Amen. And we would rather do it legislatively. We would rather do it at the ballot box. But there's coming a day where they're going to drag enough people out of their homes, where they're going to strangle us with enough bureaucracy, and it's going to get to a point. We're going to have to say, you crossed the line in the sand. Because I have a right to protect my family that is God-given, that I don't need the permission of either the federal or the state government to exercise. And if that sounds radical to you, ladies and gentlemen, then I suggest that you read the Pennsylvania Constitution and you read the United States Constitution and you look at our Bill of Rights, and you're not going to find it so radical after all. God bless you. Have a great night.
Thank you. Okay. Will Frederick Schiller and Barry Jasper come up on stage then? The basic parameter, what we're going to have, each of you are going to be allotted 3 minutes to get your platform out there, what you stand for, and then we're going to open it up for Q&A. Flip the coin. You want to have a coin who goes first? You're going to introduce yourself to our audience and
well, good evening, everybody. I'm Barry Joswiak, and following Mark Dillon is like a tough thing to do, but I'm going to give it a try. As you know, I'm running for the 5th District, the new 5th District here in Berks County. I used to be your sheriff. I was a sheriff for 12 years. I was I'm very proud of that, by the way. We did a lot of things when I was sheriff that saved all of you a lot of money. We did programs, we took on more responsibility. We got the job done, we helped people. We saved us a lot of money. I was the state trooper for 25 years also, and during that time I met a lot of people in Berks County. I've been in the meeting the people arena for a long time. I currently live in Bern Township. I have a little orchard, a Christmas tree farm, and I have a couple Labrador retrievers, and I went to Penn State University. And also, this is a very important issue. I'm a veteran. I served in the United States Navy. I went in there when I was 17 years old because I felt that was what we should do as people. We should defend our country. So for now, I'm running for this district. My main goal, my main motivation is this property tax. Where I live, my property tax, the Schuylkill Valley School District has gone nuts. It's gone skyrocketing for 12 years where I live in my house now. I got to do something about it. Like Mark says, I'm not giving up. I'm going to be very relentless, and I'm not going to be a little mouse in the back of the room and be quiet. I'm going to be loud and clear in Harrisburg. I want to do things like invest in education. I want to protect our Constitution. As you know, I'm a pro-gun person. I'm a very strong Second Amendment person, and I've proved that over the years. I want to try to create jobs, and I want to make our county better for all of us. And I do think that a lot of the values that you have, I have, and I think that I can represent you very well. And I will be a loud, strong voice for you, and I will tell you this, your voices will not be ignored.
Thank you. My name is Fred Shearer. I'm on the same district, 5th House. If you have any questions on the boundary lines, we have a nice map on the back table. I am currently recorder of deeds for the county, and I am the only one sitting up here who really has cut the size and expense of government. I can show you all the statistics. Our expenses in recorder of deeds are down $2.3 million since the day I took over. We reduced the staff more than half. We're down from 24 people to 11. That is accomplished by smart work, smart thinking, attention to details, and the overall ethic that government shouldn't be doing everything. It should be doing what just needs to get done, not overstepping boundaries, not expanding your authority, just doing the work that it was originally intended to do and nothing more. No intrusion into your life. In my office, people get served the way they should be, as if they're a customer. That we want to leave our office happy, satisfied, and with a job well done. And that's what I stand for. That's what I want to push as a state representative. I am in favor of the school tax elimination. I have been for about 20 years. I ran a small mortgage business for many years. A lot of people know me from that. Every customer that I had, I educated on what we could do to eliminate school taxes. That was hundreds and hundreds of people in the northern part of this county, a lot of people in Dave Argle's district, and I am really proud that those people spoke up and got him on board this and is driving that. But that's what we have to keep doing. This issue is not going to get solved without a lot of hard work and pushing this message onto the people who are the holdbacks. Just a few weeks ago, I was at a meeting in Montgomery County, and I met State Representative Kate Harper, Republican State Rep, Montgomery County, a very well-to-do area. She is totally against property tax elimination. She said she will not vote for this. She has no intention to. I need to change her mind and change the minds of the other holdbacks. She's in an area just like us with high school taxes. She should be on board with this. She's only looking out for herself, not for her constituents, not for the young homeowners, the middle-aged homeowners, and the older folks who are in danger or have to sell their house because they can't afford those taxes anymore. So I have to find out why she is against it. I have to change her mind, and I have to find the other ones, and that's how we have to attack this. So that's my platform. That's what I want to do. I want to push the savings that I did in my office of recorder of deeds statewide. If you could save $2.3 million in one county office, think of the same type of savings across the state. It would be literally billions of dollars. If we could even do half the level of what I did, it would be billions of dollars. That's what I stand for.
Do we have any people here who live in this district? I know in the past we have. Well, I'd like you folks to come up with some questions to ask. Does any of you have a question? Just point the door.
Linda Brecador, Burnham Township. The first time, this is for Mr. Shearer. The first time I heard you speak, you knew absolutely nothing about Common Core. And while I don't expect everybody to know everything about the top issues of the state, I would think that a state representative would know about the top issues, and especially if they affect our children. Now that you have had a chance to study up on Common Core, what is your position?
I explained to you that night at the Campaign for Liberty office. You know, wasn't familiar with the term at that exact moment, but I knew the issue. Okay, and the issue, you can disagree if you want to, but the issue is that I don't think that we should have one set of standards, one set of curriculum for our entire country. And I explained it this way, that I believe that we have unique differences throughout our entire country, and that if we would stifle that by dictating the exact same method of doing everything, we are never going to find new ways of doing things, better ways of doing things, more efficient ways of doing things, better ways to teach our students. That's why I'm against it.
Barry, do you want to comment on that, where you stand on that issue?
Yeah, Common Core, since March, I've been out knocking on doors, talking to people, and I'll tell you what, I've talked to just about every position that you can think of, especially lots of educators. Educators tell me that the Common Core program is absolutely bad. It's the government shoving it down our throats, telling us what we're going to teach our kids or how they're going to be taught, and the teachers don't like it, they can't be creative, the kids don't like it, all they're doing is teaching them how to take a test. Now what I think is we need to ensure that we, in Harrisburg, make sure that we allow the teachers to teach, to be creative. We allow the parents to get involved and to say what these children, their academic curriculums are going to be, and I think the school boards need to be involved with this as well. This needs to be a local issue, not a federal issue. We don't need a federal regulator coming here from anywhere else. You people, me, our families, we want to teach our kids our own way, and we all turned out pretty good, I think, and we were taught, so I think we need to continue to do that.
Thank you. Anybody else who lives in this district? There's also one. Okay, go ahead. State your name and what town you live in.
Yes, my name is Tom Gorgia. I reside in Maiden Creek Township. I have a question about an issue that has been, it's a local, very local issue.
Just get to the question. Just ask it. Respect people.
What are your views on the so-called improvements to Route 222 in Maiden Creek Township?
Well, thanks for asking that question, because recently PennDOT held a information night at the Sleepwood School. I was present. I talked to a lot of them, and the people out there are absolutely against this. They want to put in 3 roundabouts. They're concerned about how they're going to get across the street, how they're going to make a left turn. They can't make a left turn. When they come out of these driveways, they got to go up to the next roundabout, turn around, and come back. The PennDOT thinking is this will alleviate the traffic, it'll move faster. So I stood there with a whole bunch of parents who were literally yelling at this guy from PennDOT, and I said, why don't you listen to the people who live here? They know what's best for them and what they want, listen to what they say. So he said, well, I'm not here to argue, I'm just here to tell you what we're going to do. So I said, well, I'm running for state representative, and I got to tell you something. Is this a done deal? He said, no. I said, well, I'm going to be on the people's side when it comes down to this. I will be doing whatever I can to help you do what you want.
Fred, you have a comment?
Yeah, I attended that meeting. I also attended the supervisors meeting right after that. And the people of Maiden Creek do not want these roundabouts. And I got a little bit further and found out about some of the funding issues and why it's being forced upon Route 222, and it has to do with federal highway funds. And the Federal Highway Administration wants these roundabouts. It's federal overreach. They're pushing them down to us, using it as an example, and we have to stop it. What they think is this is something that's going to cut down on emissions, so they're all gung-ho on doing this. So they're pushing these down our throats. I believe there's somebody at PennDOT who's trying to gain favor with somebody in the highway administration and maybe get a cushy job one day. And there's something under this that we have to get to the bottom to and figure out and stop it before it gets any further.
Thank you. Members of the city.
Hello, my name is John Rentler. I'm from Jefferson Township. Mr. Sheeler, how do you feel about bans on any type of firearm, be it a semi-automatic, magazine capacity, accessories, similar to those that these extreme measures that the Obama administration tried to pass, and similar to the extreme measures the Democrats in the Pennsylvania legislature tried to pass? Thank you.
I think our existing gun laws in Pennsylvania are right where they should be, and I don't favor doing anything to change them. I am strongly in favor of the Second Amendment. I'm from a long-term family of gun owners, hunters, sportsmen, and I think we have what we need right now in Pennsylvania. I'm out there looking to change that.
Thanks for the question. As you all know, I'm a very strong pro-gun, pro-Second Amendment person. I shoot every day, not every day, every week. I'm the only candidate endorsed by the National Rifle Association because for 10 years I went down to Washington, D.C. twice a year and argued with Dianne Feinstein's gun control legislation that they wanted to put in. And for 10 years, twice a year, we put them down because they wanted to do everything under the sun, to sneak stuff by us, to let us say, oh, these particular shotguns are okay to use, when in fact, once that shotgun broke, you couldn't buy a better one or a new one. I am not in favor of limiting capacities of these guns. What they call assault weapons, these look-alikes, I got news for it. They're not assault weapons. They're just a rifle with different configuration. And they use them as a semi-automatic and get semi-automatic shotguns, handguns, even ARs. So I am not in favor of changing any of that. And I will continue to stand fast on that because when you're out there in your home, being a former law enforcement officer, when I used to get a call, somebody needed help, and it took me 20 minutes to get there, you need to defend yourself until we get there. Once we did, we took over. But you have to protect yourself and your family. I see nothing wrong with that, and I will never, ever go against that.
Bruce Rader, Ruscomania Township. Question for both gentlemen. How would you reduce the state budget if you were elected in November?
Well, that's a tough one. The state budget is 28, I guess it's $1 trillion or $1 million. I don't know, I'm not quite sure what it is. But there's not a lot of wiggle room in this budget. I mean, to reduce it, the only way you can reduce it is cut the fraud, cut the spending, rein in some of the wasteful spending, do a check on the welfare system, find out where that money's being spent. Actually, go through the budget and look at it line by line and just determine where money can be saved. I did that as sheriff. I mean, when we had our budgets, we would actually go through them and figure out how we can save money or do things cheaper, do it better. So the budget's a big problem. The last budget that was passed, I would not have voted in favor of it, but even though it was responsible, but it did not include the school property tax elimination, and I think that should have included it.
There is so much waste in government, it would make your head spin. I saw it in my office. I took over for a former reporter of deeds Republican who stole from all of you. I helped put her in jail. Now, Barry says he's cut expenses. No, he hasn't. You can go on the county website and have all the details step by step how you do this. And look at his county budgets for the Sheriff's Department. 2003, $4.2 million, 2007, $6.3 million, an increase of over $2 million, 48% increase in his last 4 years. I don't know where he saved a penny. The numbers are right here. I'll share this with anybody. Also, he just voted in Burnham Township as a supervisor to advertise a budget that calls for a tax increase and $153,000 more in spending. He couldn't look at that budget and figure out something yet to cut. We don't have to cut We don't get paid more and our expenses go up and something has to go. Why couldn't he figure out something else had to go? I did that in my office. I keep doing it all the time. I look for a better way to do things. A less expensive way, more efficient, less people, less expenses on equipment and software. Everywhere you go, you can do it. And if we did that statewide, it would be billions of dollars.
Thank you. I'm going to open this up to the candidates. Is there a question you'd like to ask your opponent? You can each have that opportunity. Is there any question you'd like to ask your opponent?
Yeah, I'd like to ask Barry, why he never apologized to everybody for using the gun permit list for his personal gain, using it as a campaign mailer to solicit funds. Then he was ordered under a court order. He says he's exonerated. You can't be exonerated from a lawsuit that you
Let him answer the question.
Well, first of all, I don't think you apologize for something you didn't do wrong. The lawsuit he's referring to, as well, many of you know, the gun owners, was dismissed. We were not liable, you were not liable, there's no cost to the taxpayer. But what I really want to tell you is, I want you to take a look at this guy. The reason he's bringing that up, he's a dirty politician, he's losing this election, and now he's trying to discredit me. That's the only thing he can do. There's so many differences between him and I that all he can do is try to discredit me. And you know what, folks? I stood in that sheriff's office and I did everything that was right for the people, the public. And when he brings up things like my budget, I got the numbers from the budget department as well. And in 4 years, I increased that budget by one person. So I got numbers from them too, so we're going to have conflicting numbers.
Barry, is there a question you'd like to ask Mr. Sheeler?
Yes, I'd like to ask Mr. Sheeler. He claims he saved $2 million. So I would like to know how come when I looked at the numbers in the budget office again, that you cut your staff 39% and that you lost over 50% in revenue when you're a revenue producing office for the county.
Well, Tom, I'm sorry to be so blunt. Did anybody see that we had a real estate crisis? That we dropped in housing? Well, I can't pull people in and make them report a deed. I can't make them buy a house. So what I did was cut the expenses drastically to make up for all that. We still turn over money to the county taxpayers to subsidize when people waste money like he did. And I want you to pick this up, and you can go to the county website step by step and see how he blew that budget apart. If he increased by one person, wow, that's a big expense, $2 million for one person. I can't control the revenue coming in, but I can cut expenses, and that's what I did, and I did it for you.
Well, let's thank both of them. There's so much love here tonight. I'm sure they'll stick around for some questions. I'm going to give you each 30 seconds as a wrap up. And then, thanks again. 30 seconds.
I think the major difference between us, now we agree on a lot of the issues, the school tax issue primarily, but I think I have a smarter way of tackling it. But the major issue is honesty, openness, integrity, serving the taxpayers the way they should be. That they should get the best service, the best deal. The most attention to their everyday spending so that we don't waste their money. That's the difference between the two. And that's what I want to push on the state level, to go through each division, each department, and root out the waste just like I did in my department. Thank you.
Well, folks, I got to tell you, there's a whole lot of differences between Freddie and me. First of all, he went to the county commissioner's office and argued with them about them accepting Obamacare. He is a pro-Obama Affordable Health Care Act person. He wants to expand the economy because he wants to do everything with the Democratic, Obama, Wolf, and Sheeler. He then wants to go and expand Medicaid. Well, Medicaid is only going to be good for 2 years because the feds will pay for that for 2 years, and after that, you're going to pay for it. I'm not going to vote for that. And he wants to expand welfare. He wants to privatize. He wants to keep the liquor stores like they are. I want to sell liquor stores, get Pennsylvania out of the booze business. He's pro-choice. I'm pro-life. We gotta protect our kids, whether they're born or unborn. I'm a veteran. He's not. I think marriage is a man and a woman, nothing different. And I don't think he's as fiscal conservative as he wants you to think he is. He's endorsed by a lot of the government unions, but he's beholden to them now, and that's going to cost money. It's going to cost you all money. I'm endorsed by the police department, the State Troopers Association, the Chamber of Commerce, the local police departments, the Firearms Owners Against Crime, the National Rifle Association, so we can defend ourselves and we can keep our guns, and we're going to keep our guns. There's more. I get a little carried away here. So thank you very much tonight for having me here. It was a pleasure to be here with you. I enjoyed tonight, and if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer.
Well, let's thank them for coming again, everybody, for both of them. Give them a hand. A couple more announcements. One is to see Jake or Jamie. I can't think. Who has the Boss Scouts coupons? Judy. Stand up, Judy. Oh, not on service. Okay, Judy. Stand up. She has Boss Scout coupons for sale. That you buy for $5. You get how much percent off, Judy? You get 25% off, so if you're buying a large ticket item, that's a pretty good deal. To get 25% off something that Boss Scouts on one specific day, however. And then she's also announcing Ben Carson is speaking at Penn's Peak in December, and that's a $25 ticket. You can see Judy about that as well. Okay. Something to think about, folks. Who would ever think, and it's been for some time, that the Republican Party is actually the working class party? You know about the 47% of people who don't pay any taxes? And union labor in America today is down to 7% of the workforce. So essentially the working class party actually is the Republican Party today. And just so you know, for any Democrats out there, for whatever reason, I'm a registered Democrat. So, don't think biased. But that is amazing if you think about it. And the other people who work or are in the Democrat Party are government employees. So it really is conservatives versus union labor, which is only 7% of the workforce, and government employees, which is unfortunately a large percent of the workforce in Pennsylvania. Have an announcement here.
Want to thanks again for Wing Window Washing and Gil Smith, our sponsor tonight. I want to thank him for sponsoring this event, and keep this in mind if you need your windows washed. Gil, again, thank you very much.
Let's thank the Boy Scouts that have popcorn for sale. That's their fundraiser. They don't do the cookies like the Girl Scouts, they sell popcorn. So this is one of the big fundraisers. So head back there and buy some of that, help support that. And we'll have Mandy here, lead us out with a prayer.
Yeah, so we all rise for dismissal, please. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for this evening. It was enlightening, and it shows the differences of the people. And we pray that you will come into authority and government will put you back in charge. Dear Heavenly Father, we ask for safety and travel mercies for this evening for the folks, and have them all come back next month. It's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.